I've been having a blast with the Jiu Feng Smuggler Pack 3 DLC recently. Every time I turn Payday 2 on to make a video on a more in-depth topic, I find myself playing mindlessly because I just really enjoy playing the game at the moment. I've rekindled my love for the Payday gameplay loop in full force, and part of that is down to having a blast with these new weapons. None more so than the Káng Arms Model 54 pistol. This thing has a plethora of viable uses, and I've been trying to find where it really excels. Due to its underbarrel attachment, it can be used as a shield killer with slug rounds, overkill activator when the skill is aced, or simply as a more versatile DPS pistol secondary when compared to your other options. Paired with the now immensely overpowered Lion's Roar, as you see here, we can have a crit sidearm for dealing with dozers rapidly when we need to reload our primary, and still bring the extra utility with slug rounds up against groups and shields. It's a ton of fun and rapidly becoming one of my favourite builds to play with, replacing the 5.7 in many of my less concealment dependent setups. But I wanted to push things further for this totally unique secondary. Shotgun spam may be a dying playstyle with all the nerfs coming over recent months. Damage range multipliers and hit rate reductions have definitely left the once king of Payday 2 weapon classes looking a little under the weather. But finally we have a replacement for those HG Judges or DB Grims of old to revive the shotgun setup. In the Model 54, we have a weapon with a very solid range DPS potential, notable ammo efficiency, and a proclivity for overkill aced setups. All of this combines to make it the perfect fit as a secondary within a top tier shotgun build. The IZMAH is back, and now it doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting. In fact, I'm not sure it ever went away, but even so, do not sleep on the Payday gods of old when putting together a build. Maybe you can even have fun with the IZMAH now without the constant pang of guilt for using the strongest weapon in the game. But remember, if shotgun hit rates are lagging your game into oblivion, here's the upgrade you've been looking for. My line of Payday specialised Apex gaming PCs are crafted to run the game optimally. If you haven't already, check them out from the link below and remember the discount code Kknowley when making a purchase, spelt exactly as you see it on the channel. Moving back onto the build I have for you today, as I've already mentioned, shotguns just don't feel as powerful these days as they used to, taking on the brunt of some pretty deserved nerfs. But they're still well worth using, or at least the infamous IZMAH is. As ever, this thing can slot into just about any low-blow concealment build thanks to its wide array of attachments and limited dependency on skill investment, and I mean that quite literally too. In fact, it may be optimal to run a Dragon's Breath IZMAH here if we wanted to switch our brains off. This thing is so disgusting and sort of removes all analysis that can be done around this exciting secondary option, so that in mind, we'll keep it vanilla and look to maximise its potential by going all the way up to Overkill Aced, bringing that secondary into the conversation. In the past, if you were running some sort of overkill aced IZMAH, it would have been to buff up a secondary SMG for dozer killing, which would have left you completely exposed to shields. Thanks to the Model 54's slug rounds, we don't have to worry about that and can use it as a secondary for dealing solid damage when out of the IZMAH's ideal range. Its reasonable accuracy stat even allows it to take out snipers, especially with the overkill effect active. Also, don't worry if you run out of IZMAH ammo, underbarrel kills will still count to activate the 1.75 times a multiplier, making it a self-sustaining powerhouse and perfect yin to the IZMAH's powerful yang. Moving over to the skills, this is a very selfish, damage-orientated setup, as my solo builds often are. I love Inspire as much as the next guy, but you can make massively more interesting builds if you don't always see that investment as a necessity. However, if you simply must have Inspire for team play, I'd probably look to drop Trigger Happy and Gun Nut Aced, lose the second Joker and those single points in Scavenger and Stable Shot. Not really a great trade-off if you ask me, but still a viable option. Here's the build when you run it optimized. In Medic, we go for Combat Doctor Aced for a little utility and multi-Joker skills in Controller. In Enforcer, it's your standard shotgun skills with CQB, Close By and Overkill all aced. Resilience Aced is next, moving us onto the usual bullseye. I actually have no skills in Technician for once, as nice as Steady Grip and Hardware Expert would be. In Ghost, it's Duck and Cover, Inner Pockets, with Low Blow as a necessary pickup in Silent Killer, and finally in Fugitive we go for pistol skills, acing out Gun Nut, Desperado, and basicing Trigger Happy, before acing 9 lives for 1 down, and acing Berserker for even more damage potential. All things considered, this is a damage-laden build. Even without crits, the pistol will be dealing 7.5 times damage at a 95% Zerk with Overkill procced, which is pretty crazy. As I've already mentioned, this setup is all about maximising your DPS above any other utility. As you can maybe tell from all this investment in crits and berserker, there really is only one deck which facilitates this style with solid survivability. That is of course Anarchist, the greatest armor gating deck in the game when round with the 2-piece suit, unlike what a certain someone said about 12 months ago. To induce our own berserker, we run the Molotov Cocktail, the Ice Pick to make use of Bloodthirst multipliers, and Medic Bags to reset downs whenever we go a little too deep with the shotguns and to pretend you're a team player. And that does it for the build. As for the playstyle, there's much to talk about. First of all, the IZMAH should absolutely be your go-to option when faced with large crowds, inside tight hallways, and if you need to click in the general direction of some cops for guaranteed bullseye and lust for life procs when making an armor-gated push. For those of you who don't follow my terminology, this refers to using your rapid innate and damage-induced armor recovery to take on board massive damage with only small portions of armor, as armor damage cannot apply to your health bar unless it's inflicted by a sniper. That's why with Anarchist, you'll see players who appear to be constantly at death's door, but actually taking as many additional shots as a full health muscle build, an incredibly fun and effective playstyle. As for the Model 54, this thing is best switched to when you want to DPS a dozer down quickly, when you need more precise shooting over mid to long range, and if a sniper is giving you any trouble. Not to mention, the underbarrel Slug should be your go-to when you're up against shields. Sadly, in my experience, this Slug isn't as dependable as I would like it to be. From my testing, I'd say it does work off the pistol's accuracy stat, so unless you're rocking close to 100, I don't recommend going for overly ambitious pot shots at snipers. As it always deals 850 damage, try to aim for the meat of shields to confirm you'll land a one-shot kill. As just a shield killing secondary, it's certainly not the perfect option, but if we compare its other virtues, as a much more usable and well-rounded secondary than its more specialized brethren, we can see why it belongs in this build. It has access to so many damage multipliers here, and with its functional ammo economy, expect to lean on it far more than you would with most secondaries. On its own, it's like a slightly weaker but easier to handle cross-kill Chunky from the first Jiu Feng pack, but with all that added utility and access to Overkill. I really love it, and think it's more than just a gimmick. Some of the more general tips when playing around with this build: remember to keep Overkill activated every 20 seconds. It can be tempting to just keep streaking with the pistol, especially when taking engagements at range, but maintaining the uptime on the 75% damage increase is essential and really easy to do. As ever with Anarchist builds, getting jokered cops early and often is essential to your survivability. At the same time, most of my deaths within this playstyle come from greeding on a convert, so always play patiently first and foremost when on DSOD. Remember, you won't be bringing a ton of utility to the team, but have all the tools in your own arsenal to be incredibly effective without needing assistance. This doesn't mean that you're not a team player, as your DPS focused setup should allow you to provide more space in which your more supportive teammates can operate. That kind of aggressive playstyle should see you topping the kill charts on Heist, which can be seen as one of your major radars for success with this build. Pushing and killing dozers is always important, and you'll have plenty of power to get that done for your team. I would like to take this moment to mourn the sad loss of the Bulletstorm playstyle. This crazy fire rate was apparently unintentional, but it will be forever remembered in my one video about it. Even so, without that gimmicky option, the Overkill Model 54 is a beast of a weapon, and the IZMAH, well, it never really went away. I'm happy to give this build my OP stamp of approval for DSOD and below. Get out there and see for yourselves. As ever, thank you very much to my Mean Infamy patrons and above. If you want to join that infamous club to see yourself in the credits or get early exclusive access to my videos, including the story videos, check out my Patreon link below. Remember that Discord is open to all if you crave some more Payday discussion. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you all very soon for the next one.